Good evening and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Regional Transit Board of Directors for Monday, December 13th, 2021. And with that, would you please call a roll, clerk?
Director Budge. Director Harris.
Harris is here.
Director Howell.
Here.
Director Hume.
Here.
Director Jennings.
I am here.
Director Kennedy.
Here.
Director Natoli. Director Chenier.
Here.
Director Cerna.
Here.
Director Valenzuela.
Here.
And Chair Miller.
Here.
And with that, we have a quorum at 91 votes. And this meeting of the Sacramento Regional Transit District will be cablecast on Metro 14, the local government affairs channel on Comcast, Consolidated Communications, and AT&T Uverse. Today's meeting will air on Friday, December 17th at 2 p.m. and Saturday, December 18th at 2 p.m. on Channel 14 and webcast at metro14live.saccounty.net and is closed captioned. This meeting can also be viewed at youtube.com/Metro Cable 14. This is a virtual meeting. All speakers, the board and staff, if you could please announce your name when you begin to speak. This meeting is live streamed and the slide on the screen shows the information on how to join the webinar via Zoom. You can also call into the meeting at 253-215-8782 and the webinar access code is 851-7056-4085. If you're participating by phone, please push *9 to indicate a desire to comment. And if you're joining us online through Zoom, please push the raise hand button. Be sure to unmute yourself when it is your turn to speak and voluntarily state your name for the record.
Thank you, Tabitha. And with that, would everybody unmute their mics and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the
To the
flag
flag
of the
United States of America, and to the republic
for which it
for which
stands,
it stands, one nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all. Hey, we're getting better at that. If that, would you call the next item, please?
The next item is consent calendar items 2.1 to 2.20.
Okay, do we have any questions or concerns from board members?
I'll move
Yes.
consent.
Oh, Chair, I had a comment on 2.4. I see Supervisor Kennedy up as well.
And I also have a on 2.4.
Okay. So Carrie, is that a motion for items? Oh, is there any comments from the?
No, why
public on
don't we just let them make their questions or comments and we'll see if we include it.
I'm sorry.
Let them make their comments and we'll see if we still want to move the entire consent calendar, consent agenda rather.
Oh, okay. Well, I was also asking if there was public comment on any of the items.
There is. So I
All right,
have.
so I'll move 2.1 through 2.3 and 2.5 through 2.20.
Okay.
Second.
So there's a motion and second. Do we have any comments on those?
We do. So we have public comment from Tammy Dramer, member SAC True on items 2.3 and 2.10. And 2.3, adoption of the board meeting calendar, and 2.10, approving a Title VI analysis and amending the fare structure. It's one email that pertains to both, so I'll read that now.
Okay. And okay, thank you.
Dear Board of Directors and Mr. Lee, the Sacramento Transit Riders Union, SAC-TRU, is a community coalition of public transit riders, including neighborhood leaders, transit workers, student groups, community organizations, small business associations, and workers' rights groups. We believe access to public transportation is a civil right and that full funding for public transit is imperative in order to ensure that low-income and vulnerable communities have access to jobs, housing, healthcare, education, grocery stores, and childcare, among other needs. On behalf of the SACTRU, I'm writing to ask that the board adopt the 2022 calendar, item 2.3, and that the board commit to holding regularly scheduled meetings, not canceling monthly RT meetings unless absolutely necessary. SACTRU has many members with disabilities that have expressed board's consistent practice of canceling scheduled meetings causes them great difficulty, most especially when meetings are held in person. Regardless of whether a meeting is held virtually or in person, people in general make time in their lives to participate in monthly meetings of their public agencies to be able to advocate for services they require. Public participation in our democratic systems is the root of making sure tax dollars and fares are used effectively, efficiently, and properly to ensure our agencies are serving the constituents in the best possible way. We also support making the fares in Elk Grove, item 2.10, and for that matter, throughout the RT district are consistent. All fares and discounts should be the same district-wide, so riders know exactly what fares are required at all times, regardless of their location. Thank you in advance for consideration. Tammy A. Dramer, member, Sacramento Transit Riders Union.
And thank you, Tammy, for your comments. Are there any other public comments? On the consent calendar?
The only hand I see up is, it looks like Linda Budge has joined us, and I just tried to promote her to attendee.
Okay, well, there's a motion to approve 2.1 through 2.3 and 2.5 through 2.20.
Chair Miller, this is Member Natoli. I've been trying to get in here for about 5 minutes. I couldn't get admitted, so I just want to let you know I wanted to vote on the consent calendar, but I could hear you all, but I couldn't talk. So anyway.
We
Okay,
haven't
well, we can
voted
hear you
yet.
now.
You're good.
Okay, good. All right. I redialed 3 times. I'm in now. Thank you. Okay.
Very good. Okay, would you please call the roll on the motion, please?
Okay, so for the consent calendar, items 2.1 to 2.3 and 2.5 to 2.20. Director Budge,
Tabitha, if you just let her in as
Yes.
an attendee, okay.
there she is. Yes. Director Harris,
Aye.
Director Howell,
Yes.
Director Hume,
Aye.
Director Jennings,
Aye.
Director Kennedy,
Aye.
Director Natoli,
Aye.
Director Chenier,
Aye.
Director Cerna,
Aye.
Director Valenzuela,
Yes.
and Chair Miller.
Aye.
Okay, with that, motion passes at 100 votes.
Thank you. And would you please call item 2.4 now?
Yes. Item 2.4, Resolution 21-12-0126, conditionally approving a contract for security guard services with Blue Knight Security and Patrol, Inc.
Okay, and I know 2 directors asked to have this pulled. Would you like a staff report on this?
Well, I think, and I won't speak for Supervisor Kennedy, but I do know I want staff, just Henry, to update on the conversations we've had. I know there's been a lot of concerns raised about the provider and some differences of opinions that he might have from some members of our community. Definitely respect people that have different beliefs, but did have a really good conversation with Henry earlier about how to make sure that the contract is clear, that processes for complaints are clear in case anybody has any incidents that they feel like don't follow what we're hoping to get from this contract. So Henry, and Supervisor Kennedy, I guess I'll let you ask your question too before Henry speaks. If you had something similar.
Yeah, thank you, Director Valenzuela. I did not have the benefit of meeting with staff on this, so I will just say that, yeah, if this is to be decided this evening, I'm at this point not comfortable in support with some of the things that I have heard, and without an opportunity to fully vet those issues. So I would not be supporting it tonight if it goes tonight.
So Henry, I don't know if you want to update the rest of the board on the conversation we had earlier.
Yes, actually, maybe a better person to update board is Lisa, because she gone through this the whole process, and I did not involve in this procurement process at all. And once we get a couple public comments, and Lisa and the EMT discuss this in depth, and try to, make sure, the facts, checked and background checked. So, and also I think Tabitha sent board, some response, from his company too. So I would let Lisa to brief board. Lisa, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Chair Miller and members of the board. So after we received those public comments this afternoon or this morning rather, I took the opportunity to dive into a little bit of a background check, and I did it myself. What I mean by that is specifically, I wanted to go to the Better Business Bureau, the Bureau of Security and Services, make sure that Blue Knight had an active and valid license, to make sure that there weren't any complaints with the Better Business Bureau. And then also I looked at some social media outlets and relative to the recent job fair, and there was a lot of rhetoric about the need for security. And then lastly, I called Mr. John Jarrett, the owner of Blue Knight Security, and shared with him our concerns, the complaints that received from passengers and so forth about his LinkedIn account. Specifically, the most concerning thing relative to SAC-RT and our security needs are the term transient abatement was listed on his LinkedIn account under one of the services he provided. So without suggesting what that meant to me, I asked him what it meant to him, and he gave him the opportunity to answer for that. And what he meant by that, or what he shared with me, and he wrote that in a comment to the board, as well as he's prepared to speak tonight, is that many businesses have issues with safety and security relative to transients or homeless encampments in and around their business, and people feeling unsafe when they approach their business. So he immediately changed the words because he didn't want to make that perception. When I shared with him, it could be perceived in a negative connotation. So he's already changed his LinkedIn, but more importantly, he shared his purview on community-oriented policing and helping homeless people. So it wasn't to be, oppressive and get rid of the homeless people. It was, let me work with them. And some of the mitigating things that he and his company do are provide food to the homeless, like a gift card. So maybe they aren't, they're lingering, or they need something to eat. So he actually provides services to them and works with the local police department to make sure that they have placement and so forth. So it's more of a community approach, and really a bad term listed on his LinkedIn account.
Thank you for doing that, Lisa. And I know there were some other posts shared with me that were more political posts that I don't agree with, but that's not enough to say that you don't get to work with us just because we don't agree on things. So I appreciated, Henry, I know the conversation that he had with you and that you two had today about making sure the contract expectations were clear and that there was a really clear process if folks felt like there had been mistreatment or some bad behavior, that they knew how to contact us basically and let us know that something had gone wrong. And so I felt comfortable moving forward after that conversation. I just want to appreciate you all for the quick response to the community's concerns about the posts, and some of their coming from a good place, wanting to make sure that we were contracting with somebody who shared our goals. So with that, I'm happy to move this item, Chair, and thank you staff again for spending time with me today, talking through these concerns.
I'll second the motion.
All right, there's a motion by Valenzuela and a second by Director Harris. Would you please call the roll, clerk?
Did you want me to read the public comment?
Yeah, I'm
Accept
sorry.
public comment? Okay.
Thank you for reminding me. We
Oh,
do
no
have a couple
worries.
comments.
Okay, so public comment on item 2.4, resolution conditionally approving a contract for security guard services with Blue Knight Security and Patrol. This is from PJ. I take huge issue with the approval of Blue Knight Security and Patrol for the onboard security on RT, especially when the owner has such deplorable views, as then PJ referenced a Black Rifle Company post that was liked by John Jarrett that states no politician who supports gun control should get armed protection paid for by those who are trying to disarm. PJ then said the owner described himself as specializing in transient abatement, as though the human beings suffering the most in our city are a weed to be removed. It highly concerns me how he influences who is hired, their views on how they'll end up treating the poorest and the minorities of community who use public transit at a higher rate than the richer and whiter folks of our city, especially considering the views espoused above, along with his favorable views of our ex-president. He can have his freedom of speech and opinions all day long. My issue is when they might potentially negatively interact with the most disenfranchised in our communities to an unconscionable degree. If there is no other option than to go forward with the lowest bid, I would ask that safeguard policies and procedures be put into place to ensure any potential discrimination, abuse, or other mistreatment of poor or minority passengers could be documented and reported on with follow-up and could affect the contract status or length. Thank you for your time, PJ. And then I have one from Casey Thompson. Dear board members, I'm strongly opposed to the approval of Blue Knight Security and Patrol for the onboard security on RT. The owner has expressed some alarming views when it comes to public safety, including liking social media posts that state that those who oppose police brutality should lose any expectation of police protection. He also described himself as specializing in transient abatement, a disgusting turn of phrase that compares the most vulnerable members of our community to some kind of infestation. This kind of view can only lead to violence against certain people who utilize our public transport. The services provided by RT, including security, should be provided directly wherever possible. If that means hiring security staff directly, then that is what I would recommend. Our public services are never best provided by private contractors who must turn a profit in order to provide the service. Instead, we should employ security personnel directly as we do with other RT positions. I would also ask that safeguard policies and procedures be put into place to ensure any potential discrimination, abuse, or other mistreatment of poor or minority passengers could be documented and reported on with follow-up, and that whoever provided security be subject to dismissal for violating the policy. That was from Casey Thompson. And then I have public comment from Emily Smet. Hello, as a daily writer of SacRT, a former transit employee and a transgender woman, I have grave concerns regarding the approval of the Blue Knight Security and Patrol for the security on board your vehicles. The owner of this company harbors dangerous views on the unhoused and gun control, and I fear that this will impact the practices his firm and who it hires and how it interacts with the poor, marginalized, transient, and queer riders of your service. As a former employee of transit agency, I understand the issues you face today, but over-policing our transit does not fix any problems or help anyone. I urge you to reconsider this contract, and if you must go with the lowest bidder, please ensure that instances of abuse by security staff may be reported, documented, and tracked. Thank you, Emily. P.S. Can an owner who likes this on his professional LinkedIn be trusted to remain impartial in the daily political matters of transit? And then we have public comment from John Jarrett with Blue Knight Security. Good afternoon. My name is John Jarrett, and I'm the president of Blue Knight Security. I wanted to address a concern that came to my attention regarding a phrase on my LinkedIn page where I listed homeless abatement as one of the services we provided. I added that phrase to our list of services in response to clients who asked if we dealt with homeless and transient individuals. That phrase in no way was meant to make people think that we were some sort of rogue vigilante organization that mistreated people that were less fortunate than us. I spent most of my adult life trying to serve others, whether it was in the military as a police officer or in my current role. I stress to our employees to use a compassion-based approach when called by clients to address homeless issues and treat them with respect, not disdain. I also regularly remind my staff to keep in mind that many of these people have fallen victim to addictions, mental disorders, and other unfortunate events in their lives, and that we can be much more effective if we speak to people in a way that makes them feel lifted up and not torn down. Interacting with homeless is a huge part of our job, and we have regular ongoing training regarding these types of interactions. We also work with local municipalities in an attempt to help relocate people, and have also given out coffee and gift cards as a way to encourage them to leave our clients' properties. Lastly, I reworded that phrase on my page and appreciate it being brought to my attention, and I hope this clears up any concerns. Thanks again.
Is that all the comments?
It looks like Jeff Tartagia has his hand up.
Let's go ahead and give Jeff a couple minutes.
Okay. Jeff? Jeff, you might need to unmute yourself.
Will this unmute me? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. What I was going to offer and say, people, is since this agency is not a law enforcement, should we say, so they cannot arrest anybody, I thought this was primarily for either the 51 on the bus system or for the light rail locations or for the attempt at homeless shelters. Can you clarify that matter, please? That's my time.
I don't know if you could quickly clarify that for Jeff. Lisa.
Mr. Chairman, Lisa can clarify that
Okay,
quickly.
thank you.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Most of the security guards we use are either in our own parking lots for our employees to prevent theft, and or at several light rail stations out on the platforms. But many of them, most of them aren't at our bus stops or on our buses, but they are not doing enforcement. Just like Mr. Tartagia said, they're not doing any kind of enforcement. It's more of a customer service function or see and report.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, should we ask if Director Kennedy had his questions answered?
I still don't feel completely comfortable, so I'll be abstaining.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Okay, with that, let's call the roll.
Okay, Director Budge,
Yes.
Director Harris,
Aye.
Director Howell,
Yes.
Director Hume,
Aye.
Director Jennings,
Abstain.
Director Kennedy,
Abstain.
Director Natoli,
Aye.
Director Chenier,
Aye.
Director Cerna,
No.
Director Valenzuela,
Yes.
and Chair Miller.
Aye.
So consent calendar item 2.4 passes at 72 votes.
Thank you. And with that, please call the next item.
Okay, the next item is number 6, public addresses the board on matters not on the agenda.
Okay, do we have any comments, written comments?
We do. We have a couple written comments. Would you like me to read those now?
Yeah, let's take those and then we'll check for raised hands.
Okay, sounds good. So from Jeff, hello, employees do not have the proper tools or equipment to perform their duties safely, efficiently, or effectively. When issues are brought to management, we are disciplined and or ignored. At what point will the board members take action when issues become so bad that it creates unsafe and or hostile working conditions for employees as well as customers? Are board members willing to meet with employees to try and resolve issues? Staff Laura Ham, VP of Planning and Engineering, has quickly responded to this comment. And then we have a comment from Derek Corte. Why don't our buses have warnings on the rear that read, "This vehicle stops at all railroad crossings," as well as makes frequent stops? And Staff Carmen Alba, VP of Bus Operations, has responded quickly to Derek. That's it on the email comment, and it looks like Jeff Tartagia has his hand up.
Jeff Tartagia, the first Jeff is not Jeff Tartagia, just to be clear, to clarify that. Is that another Jeff?
Oh, yes.
All right, thank you. Let's hear from Mr. Tartagia.
Thank you, Henry. My comment is related to that for next year, please do not cancel any meetings. Have staff provide you with either dealing with the short room change, the low floor. There is a number of matters and subjects. And Stephen, I don't think this last year you once mentioned about what was going on with the I-80, and I'm not certain yet whether it's still finished or whether one side is still not working. Public comment is, I'm disappointed that that you're doing this for a second year. I'm hoping that you will get better at it, and I'm hoping that the other type of tools will be used when we have public hearings so that we can do a direct question back like I am trying to do with the Zoom. And please note for the board that this agenda, should we say, posting only had a virtual meeting and had no indication of where and what the meeting was. You had to go to 2 other sites to find out how to get the YouTube, which I had selected earlier, and then it disappeared. So I just bring to your attention that there needs to be a better effort next year about these meetings. Please get them out there more to the public. And I will also say to Pat Hune that since we no longer have Mike Barbaum around, please tell us more about what is going on with the San Joaquin in relating to the train platforms and other efforts. I thank Phil Cerna because through him, I was made aware of the public comment for the, should we say, train platform at 19th Street, and it still needs quite a bit of work. I'm hoping RT is reconsidering beyond 19th Street and Q of having a bus stop for dealing with that bus platform. And what else is the effort going on for the Sacramento City College train station that is supposed to be going in there? I hope that those will all come up as discussion items next year. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tartaglia, and I will try and do better next year. Do we have any other hands up?
I don't see any other hands up.
Okay, if that's the case, we can move on to the next item, please.
Next, we have new business, item 7.1, intent motion, extend the term of the current chair, Steve Miller, and vice chair, Patrick Kennedy, for 1 more year as chair and vice chair for the SAC-RT Board of Directors for 2022.
Janira moves the item.
Valenzuela, second.
Oh, my word. There's a motion by Shadir and a second by Budge. Please call the roll. Unless there's any arguments against this, I'll listen to.
I was going to look for public comment, but I do not see any hands raised.
I'd like to hear what Mr. Tartaglia has to say about it.
We've got to do better, Patrick.
His hand's not up. Okay. Do you want me
Please
to call the roll?
Yes.
Director Budge,
Yes.
Director Harris,
Aye.
Director Howe,
Yes.
Director Hume,
Aye.
Director Jennings,
150%, yes.
Director Kennedy,
Aye.
Director Natoli,
Aye.
Director Chenier,
Aye.
Director Cerna,
Aye.
Director Valenzuela,
Yes.
and Chair Miller.
10% yes. No, 100%. Sorry.
Whereas Mike Barnbaum would say to Director Kennedy, Vice President Kennedy.
Yeah. All
With
right.
that, motion passes with 100 votes.
All right. Next item, please, Tabitha.
The next item under new business is 7.2, Resolution 21-12-0135. Receive and file the annual comprehensive financial report, reports on compliance and internal controls as required by uniform guidance, and the Transportation Development Act report to the Board of Directors for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2021, and designate $5,943,570 to SAC-RT's operating reserve. Staff Brent Berniger is here to introduce the item and answer any questions.
Thank you. Welcome, Brent.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Miller and members of the board. I'll be brief tonight, but we've concluded the June 30th, 2021 fiscal year financial audit. As Tabitha mentioned, we have close to $6 million of surpluses that will go into the operating reserve. This is excellent news. I want to give a special thanks to the finance team for all the hard work they did in getting this completed. We have our auditors here, Brad Shelley, the partner from Crow LLP. I'd like to have him just give a couple words and answer any questions that you might have about the audit. Brad?
Good evening. My name is Brad Shelley, and I'm an audit partner at Crow. I specialize in audit of governmental agencies and specifically public transportation operating and planning agencies across the country. Tonight, I just want to give you a brief bit of background on the audit along with the results of the audits. The objective of the audit of the financial statements is to express an opinion on the financial statements, that they are in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States. Management is responsible for the financial statements themselves, and our responsibility is to provide an opinion. This year obviously continued to be a little bit different than in the past with the ongoing pandemic. However, we were able to complete the audit in a timely and efficient manner, thanks to the preparedness of the SAC-RT accounting and finance team. There was one new accounting standard to be implemented this year, GASB 84, over fiduciary activities, but there was no significant impact as a result of that implementation. On all of the audits, we have provided an unqualified opinion, which is the highest level of assurance that we can provide. Essentially, this means the financial statements are free of any material misstatements. And the reports that we provided were the independent auditor's report that was included in the annual comprehensive financial report, or your financial statements, the plan financial statements, the TDA compliance report, uniform guidance report, and the gas or government auditing standards report. And each of those had no internal control findings or compliance findings. And then lastly, also wanted to report there were no corrected or uncorrected misstatements during the audit that was identified, and there were no significant difficulties of disagreements or other issues to report. With that, I would take any questions that the board might have.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Shelley. Is there any questions for Mr. Shelley or Mr. Berniger? Hearing none, is there any public comment, Tabitha?
I do not have any email public comment, and I don't see any hands raised.
Now, do we need to vote on this, receive and file?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I just want to say thank you to Brent and all the finance staff. And, you know, we say this every year now, but as we think back about where we were pre Henry Lee and the fact that we had 0 reserves, I think this is really something that the turnaround financially has been remarkable. So just want to thank Henry and Brent and all the finance folks, and happy to move the item.
Motion by Chenier.
Second, Hume.
Hume. Thank you, Pat. Any other comments? Yeah, certainly to see a $6 million reserve is just fantastic. Keep up the good work. And with that, I'd like to call for the roll.
Director Budge,
Yes.
Director Harris,
Aye.
Director Howell, Director Howell. I see her.
Looks like her computer is frozen.
Oh, yeah, it does, huh? I'll come back to her. Director Hume,
Aye.
Director Jennings,
Yes.
Director Kennedy,
Aye.
Director Natoli,
Aye.
Director Chenier,
Aye.
Director Cerna,
Aye.
Director Valenzuela,
Yes.
Director Howell,
Yes.
and Chair Miller.
Aye.
Sorry, I
Item-
got knocked off and I have to get back in.
That's okay. Item passes with 100 votes.
Thank you. Next item, please.
The next item under new business is 7.3, information item, board composition. This item will be presented by staff Olga Sanchez Ochoa and Shelley Valentine.
All right, good evening, board. This is Shelley Valentine. I'm gonna lead off our presentation. And if you could please pull up the slide, Adam. Thank you. Second slide, please. So good evening, board, Chair Miller, and members of the public with us tonight. At the request of some of our board members, we are providing you tonight with information on the current and the new structure and composition of our governing board. This item is purely for information only tonight at this time and does not require a board action or vote. Our purpose is to provide a background and present to the board available options for discussion and possible future action. As you all know, AB 1196 was signed into law in September and will take effect January 1st, 2022. This changes the current voting structure for SACRT's Board of Directors from a weighted voting structure to a one-member, one-vote structure. To summarize what that looks like, under the current weighted voting, the County of Sacramento has 3 appointed board members, or 32 votes combined, and the City of Sacramento has 4 appointed board members, or 28 votes combined. After January 1st, Sacramento County will have 3 total votes, and the City of Sacramento will have 4 total votes, while the cities of Citrus Heights, Elk Grove, Folsom, and Rancho Cordova will each have 1 vote on all matters before the board. The county has raised concerns about its decrease in voting power as a result of
Recording in progress.
Of AB 1196, while the City of Sacramento's voting power will increase in proportion to its current strength under the weighted voting structure. Additionally, during annexation discussions with the City of Elk Grove, the City of Elk Grove requested that SACRT increase its seat allocation from 1 seat to 2. Elk Grove's population is almost double that of Folsom, Citrus Heights, and Rancho Cordova's, and Elk Grove staff believes it should have 2 seats on the board. While SACRT's Enabling Act did not provide a methodology to make that happen, SACRT staff committed to examine the issue and present feasible legislative options to the SACRT board for consideration. Next slide, please. So as you already know, the composition of SACRT's board is set out in state law when SACRT's Enabling Act under the Public Utilities Code was established 50 years ago. The act dictates the board's composition, the way board seats are allocated, and if and how representation can be increased or decreased. The Enabling Act establishes that the initial SACRT board would consist of 4 members appointed by the City Council of the City of Sacramento, and 3 members appointed by the County Board of Supervisors for the County of Sacramento, and each additional member entity will be entitled to make 1 appointment to the board. The Enabling Act further sets forth how the composition can be changed, and I will turn you over to Olga now to outline that and offer staff's analysis on available options to implement changes to the board's composition and voting structure should the board wish to do so. Olga?
Thank you, Shelley. Good evening, Chair Miller, board members, members of the public. Shelley presented you with an overview of SACRT's current board structure, which after January 1st will shift to a voting structure that some jurisdictions on the board have expressed some concern will provide an inequitable voting balance. So currently the SACRT's Enabling Act provides 2 options for changing the board seat allocation. First, pursuant to Cal PUC section 102-100.5, the City of Sacramento and the County of Sacramento are both authorized to voluntarily appoint fewer board members than their current board member allocation. As Shelley noted, the City of Sacramento currently has 4 seats pursuant to SACRT's Enabling Act, and the county has 3 seats on the board. Either jurisdiction may appoint fewer than their seat allocation, so long as they each appoint at least 1 board member. The second option in SACRT's Enabling Act allows for the jurisdictions that sit on the SACRT board to come together no more often than once every 2 years to reallocate the number of seats each jurisdiction is allowed. But that reallocation must be based on the gross cost of service within each jurisdiction's boundary. What that means is that the more SACRT spends on service in any one jurisdiction, the greater the jurisdiction's share of seats would be. In 2005, when the board asked the legislature to adopt the weighted voting structure that we currently have, the board briefly considered whether seat allocation based on gross cost of service would result in a more equitable distribution of seats. The board at that time determined that the methodology would only result in more inequity among the jurisdictions and disregarded that option. Next slide, please. Staff has considered the board's options for addressing the inequity concerns raised by some members of the board now that it will move from a weighted voting system to a 1-member, 1-vote system. Based on staff's analysis, the board appears to have 3 options for addressing the concerns expressed by some board members. Option number one would be for the board to do nothing. The board could opt to maintain its current seat allocation do nothing. Each member will then move from their weighted voting allocation to a one member, one vote system, with the city of Sacramento having 4 votes, the county having 3, and all other jurisdictions having 1 vote. Option number 2 is to ask the city of Sacramento to voluntarily reduce its seat allocation pursuant to Cal PUC section 102-100.5 from 4 seats to 3 seats, bringing it in line with the county's allocation of 3 seats, thereby equalizing its voting strength with that of the county. And the third option that we came up with was the board could create an ad hoc subcommittee that would study the issue of vote allocation and discuss possible changes to the Enabling Act to authorize a different board composition. Or alternatively, the ad hoc subcommittee could discuss whether to reallocate seats pursuant to its members' entities' authority to reallocate seats based on the gross cost of service provided in each jurisdiction. The last time the board looked at its voting structure and seat allocation was in 2005, when the board shifted from a one member, one vote system to a weighted voting structure. At that time, the board created an ad hoc subcommittee that studied the issue and ultimately developed legislation that created the weighted voting structure. If the board wishes to change the board composition in a manner that is not currently authorized under the Enabling Act, it will need to seek authorization from the legislature to amend the Enabling Act. The ad hoc subcommittee could also discuss reallocation under the Enabling Act, which allows reallocation on the basis of gross cost of service in each jurisdiction. Staff did a preliminary analysis of how seat allocation would be adjusted under that methodology and found that this methodology would only exacerbate the inequity in the voting strength, since the city of Sacramento would move from being entitled to 4 seats to being entitled to 6 seats, because more than half of SacRT's service costs are allocated within the city of Sacramento, despite the fact that the city contributes less than 30% of the cost of SacRT service. Consequently, this option would not correct the stated concern of inequitable distribution of votes that several jurisdictions on the board have expressed. If the board wishes to consider the creation of an ad hoc subcommittee, staff can bring that back to the board for consideration at its January board meeting. And if you have any questions, Shelley and I would be more than happy to respond.
Thank you for the presentation. Before we go to director's questions and comments, Tabitha, do we have any public comment on this item? Clerk, are you there? Is everybody hearing me okay?
I hear you fine.
Yes,
Okay.
gotcha.
Thank you.
Maybe is Tabitha muted? Are you muted, Tabitha?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I was muted.
Okay, that's why I couldn't hear you.
It was
Any
going
public
so
comment?
well. Okay, so there's no public comment, no email public comment, and Director Cerna has had his hand raised, which I just lowered, but I believe he would like to speak.
Okay, let's go to Director Cerna.
Thank you, Chair. I believe that the last option that was outlined was the formation of an ad hoc committee, if I'm not mistaken. I think this is an important enough perspective change to our voting system that has been in place for many years that I would feel much more comfortable if we spent a little bit more time looking at the options and instead of just kind of declaring a wholesale change during the course of one meeting. And selfishly, I need to actually probably depart soon from this hearing as I'm traveling internationally, getting ready to head to the Bay Area. But regardless of that, I do think it's of a elevated enough importance that we should spend a little more time on it as a board in the form of a committee, and certainly appreciate staff's assessment and assistance thus far, but this is a big change, possibly. So that would be my preference.
I don't know that I necessarily care about the establishment of a subcommittee, but I'm not prepared to make the decision tonight. But there
No, this is
definitely needs to be
informational
more.
only.
Right. There definitely needs to be more conversation about this. And one question I'm going to throw out there, because this looks like an issue that kind of is between the city and the county, city of Sacramento and the county. And so I think we need to look at some population numbers and where the services are being offered.
Okay, thank you, Director Howe.
So, Mr.
Do we have,
Chair.
hold on a second. Let's go by hands up, okay?
Yep.
I think Patrick, someone's had their hand up for a while here.
Yes.
Thank
Who's
you.
next?
Yeah, I had my hand up. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Tabitha, for recognizing that. I brought this forward because as a part of the annexation agreement with Elk Grove, there were promises made relative to representation and voting power on the board. And I appreciate the points Supervisor Cerna made with respect to the complexity of this issue. It's not something that can be solved with a stroke of a pen, nor are we prepared to opine on it intelligently tonight. But I do think it merits further exploration, because if we were to go from voting to a one seat, one vote system, Elk Grove's voting power gets worse. It goes from about 13 out of 100 or 14 out of 100 to, I think, 9 out of 100 from a weighted system. Furthermore, if you look at population standards, we're nearly half the population of the city of Sacramento, and yet we have a third of the voting power. We're nearly double the population of the other the suburban cities, and yet we would be equal in voting power. So I think from an equity standpoint, for our ridership, they're expecting something to be done to make sure that that Elk Grove's voice, given that we came back into the system in good faith, does carry a little more weight. So I would definitely be in favor of option 3 over the other options.
Thank you, Patrick. Next hand up, Tabitha.
Is Director Budge.
All right, Linda. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I agree with Director Hume. I realize we're coming at this from a different population perspective, but I appreciate his initial concern. And quite frankly, from my perspective, it's not just the numbers of it's not just the amount of population that's currently being served, but the fact that we have all acknowledged for a very long time that there needs to be a way to serve growing populations. And there is no question that along with the city of Elk Grove, the cities of Rancho Cordova and Folsom are growing dramatically. And we have enormous populations that would like to ride, to have some opportunity not to get in their single occupant vehicle to go to work or to go to light rail, and they need to be taken into consideration also. So I would completely support the option 3 to establish a committee to look at this. We all sit on boards and commissions. I'm thinking of the library, where seats on the board are apportioned in different by different methods, and I would actually volunteer to be on that committee.
Okay, Linda, thank you. Next hand up, please.
Vice Chair Kennedy.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to briefly say that I certainly understand Mr. Hume's position and that of the city of Elk Grove. There is an equitable issue there to be addressed. And I do agree with Director Cerna and Budge that I think that I concur that this is something that I think needs further study and should be in the hands of a subcommittee.
Thank you, Patrick. Do we have any more hands up, Tabitha?
No more hands.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to weigh in.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Director Natoli.
Yeah, thank you. Just very briefly, I would support the idea of ad hoc subcommittee to work on the issue. I would just say that as Director Budge said, and others have referenced, that there are different combinations. Ours is of how we recognize certainly the constituencies that we serve on respective bodies and boards, but also how we then account for a growth over time. And RT certainly is unique in that, there's this accounting for, where the service is and so forth. But I think to the point about as we grow and have, brought folks into the system by agreement with our municipalities and such, and, have even looked to outside the county with discussions. I think it's important to looking, going forward, and certainly having been a member of the board for the years that I have, remembered how challenging it was at times back 15 years ago when we, worked through the weighted voting and representation and such. But I think this is timely. I would support the ad hoc committee, and I think, as Carrie said, certainly giving the population numbers, but also, service assignments, and I think the interest obviously this district's had in improving service to all realms of the district, recognizing that we have fixed rail, and then we have bus and community bus and paratransit services to complement much of what we do from public access and transportation. But I think this is something that is timely, and to support the subcommittee, and maybe having a timeline for when we would expect to have some additional comments, if not a recommendation back to the board. Thanks
for your wisdom, Don. Any other hands up, Tabitha?
Director Jennings.
So on Director Natoli's last point, it was the point that I wanted to emphasize is the timeline and the responsibilities of the committee and the boundaries of the committee as far as what they can do and what they can't do, what they can bring back. I just want to make sure we're clear on that as far as how much time do they have. When I read this and saw that effective January 1, we will shift. I would imagine that's going to happen after January 1. It didn't say when after January 1, but it would be good to know the timeline that this committee could come together and work to do the work, and then come back and report back to us, and then give us some time to be able to elaborate over it as well. So I would like all that to be well defined as if we make the decision to go to option number 3.
Thank you, Director Jennings. That brings a question to my mind. If we do nothing, it goes into effect for our first board meeting in January, I assume, and then we couldn't change it. So there is some urgency to changing it, but if we don't do anything, it stays prescribed in the legislation. Am I correct in that assumption?
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, regardless, January 1, we go to a one member, one vote system. And then to change the, seat allocation, which is what would change the vote allocation, the board is at the mercy of the legislature. So once the subcommittee does their work and then the board says this is what we want to do, then we go to the legislature and go through that process to have them change our enabling act to allow a different methodology for appointing seats or a different structure.
Okay, so then the easiest is an item that wasn't mentioned was item 2, and I don't know, I can't speak for the city of Sacramento on that one, or how much time they'd want to consider that. That would be no muss, no fuss at this point, but I don't have a temperature on that. And I'd also like to hear from the board the makeup of the ad hoc committee. So that's equitable as well.
How many people are we talking about for that ad hoc committee? Is there a maximum number?
No, there isn't. And the last time when the board changed its weighting structure back in 2005, the subcommittee had a member from the county, a member from the city, and then each of the other jurisdictions sat on the subcommittee. Because I was viewed as the most equitable way to discuss it so that everyone had a voice.
But there weren't a lot of jurisdictions back then. Citrus Heights wasn't in, Folsom wasn't in.
Oh, yes, Citrus Heights, Folsom, and Elk Grove were all on our board at that time.
But we weren't full members.
Right, and right, but that's why it all started, so that they
Okay.
could get a more
Okay.
equitable representation, and they all sat on the subcommittee.
Well, what's the feeling on the board about that? I mean,
My only additional comment would be if the subcommittee is going to get together, they need to do it quickly.
yeah.
If I can weigh in on that, I'd be happy to serve on the subcommittee, given Elk Grove, I think is a major part of the discussion. As I understand it from what Olga just said and what Henry has told me previously, this is not a fix that's going to be put into place concurrent or in advance of moving to the 1 seat, 1 vote system. This is going to require an act of the legislature to change our enabling documents. And so I don't think that urgency is necessarily a consideration we need to bear in mind.
That's true. Yeah.
It sounds logical.
So I'm getting a feeling we have consensus on it, on at least forming an ad hoc committee.
Director Harris has his hand up, Chair.
Yeah, I was just gonna
Thank you
say
for the
that.
help. I can't see any of that.
I was just gonna say it. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Yeah, I was
Thanks
just
for the
going to
help.
say that Pat is correct. This is going to take legislative action, and there is no immediate urgency. And yeah, it's a situation that warrants, I think, extensive discussion to change our Enabling Act. It's a big change, and so we need to look at this carefully, look at the metrics, look at the equity issues, and really dissect it carefully. And there is no immediate urgency.
So the only other comment that I'm going to make then, because it looked like option 2 is something that we could do right away, and then also have the subcommittee. And so my request would be, given that we're looking at the county of Sacramento having 3, the city of Sacramento having 4, everybody else having 1, I'd like to respectfully request that the city of Sacramento reduce their number of seats right away to 3, but that we move quickly with the ad hoc committee so that we can make the request of the state legislature to adjust the membership and the voting rights in accordance with what the board thinks it's best for all of the patrons in the jurisdictions.
And let me ask my colleagues from the city of Sacramento, is this something that you need to take back to your council?
Director Valenzuela also has her hand up now.
Okay,
Thank you. And I think, this is part of the reason why I'm supportive of a committee looking at this, because it's so much more complicated than just population, right? Like, we also have several employment centers in the city. We're not the only employment center in the region by far, but, we take a lot of load in terms of need for transit and use. So I think there's a lot of different ways that we could look at how we judge need. Population to me has always felt a little simplistic, because when you really look at where it's being used, where it's concentrated, where folks are going, there's a lot of service in my district in the central city, right? And it's like, but I'm still just one person here on the committee, which is fine. But I think it warrants, this is an opportunity for us to sort of go back to the drawing board, especially if we're going to go to the legislature and really make sure we're considering all of the factors at play here before we make decisions. So I'm not comfortable saying like, oh yeah, the city will drop somebody right away before we have that conversation, because I just think that there's a lot of factors we could look at here that would be really thoughtful, and I'd enjoy the sort of academic conversation to occur first.
Director
Harris's hand is up.
Director Harris.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I agree with Director Valenzuela. That would be a significant change for the city to undertake. And yeah, there are many considerations here. Again, I'm not feeling the urgency to make a decision tonight, certainly, and we can discuss it at the city. But I think overall, the ad hoc committee can look at all of the considerations that are on the table here. And since it's going to take legislative change, that is the point at which it makes the most sense for the city of Sacramento to drop a seat.
Thank you, Director Harris. Is there any other hands up, Tabitha?
No other hands are up.
Would anybody object to me forming an ad hoc committee with 1 member from each jurisdiction?
Director Miller, this is an information item tonight.
Okay,
So if you
okay.
want to form it, we do it in January.
All right, then then we'll have some pretty well thought out recommendations.
And Director Miller, to January is the meeting where we're going to have appointments to various boards reviewed and appointed to. So it's perfect timing to do all of that.
Okay. Perfect. If there's no other comments.
Chair, I'll just say that that gives the city and county members a chance to play Rochambeau to see who doesn't have to serve on the committee, or the good old fashioned playground antic of not it.
Exactly. I don't hear anybody calling shotgun right now.
I
Maybe
thought
that's
I
not
heard
a-
Phil volunteer for that before he logged off.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
I heard that too.
I know I heard that. That's
Yeah.
absolutely the case.
Yeah, once again, Pat Hume got it right.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And let's move on to the next item.
Okay, the next item is item 8.1, the general manager's report.
Hi, good evening, Chair, members of the board, and the public. First, thanks for a wonderful meeting so far, board meeting. And thank you for joining us for the last board meeting of the 2021. I cannot believe this year has gone by so fast. This week, we will be celebrating APTA's Outstanding System of the Year Award in appreciation of our employees with holiday lunches at 5 different SACRT facilities. I'm excited to celebrate safely in person with our employees, and lots of our employees and union leaders want to have an in-person celebration. And we're going to have the food truck circling around in 5 different locations. And we have invited our board members to join us on either of those 5 locations or entirely 5 locations. And if our board members need more information, we can further send to you. Let me begin my remarks by highlighting our hiring events that SACRT is hosting. As I have mentioned recently, there is a national workforce shortage issue impacting all sectors of the economy, including public transit. Transit agencies are struggling to meet service demands due to a driver shortage. I have heard from multiple large transit agencies CEOs, they told me they're going to reduce their service by 10% to 20-25% next month because of the workforce shortage. While SACRT is finding better than many of our peers, we are taking a strategic and a proactive approach to meet our workforce needs. Last week, we hosted a hiring event that received great media attention. Several TV stations come to our event, and we also attracted over 80 individuals interested in employment with SACRT. We will be hosting a second event tomorrow and expect similar interest. And I truly hope the incentives, great benefits, especially excellent benefit packages and other recruitment efforts will help us backfill open positions. I also want to share some tremendous and historical news. After several years of talking about the infrastructure package, the president has signed a new 5-year infrastructure investment into law. The historical package provides about $107 billion for public transit and increases each of the formula and the competitive grant programs by up to 37% compared to our current levels. And there are lots of competitive grant programs and funding available, but they need local match. The law will prepare the Sacramento region for the next at least 50 years or up to 100 years by rebuilding and replacing infrastructure that is nearing the end of its useful life. This is just critical timing, especially for SAC-RT, since our backbone system, library system, is nearing the end of the useful life. The formula and the competitive funding to SAC-RT will promote safety, help us combat climate change and crisis, and advance equitable access to transportation. With increased federal support and investment, we can envision a resilient and more equitable mobility network. And so I think all of us are so thankful for our congressional delegation support, and we have sent our thank you letters to them. Another subject, at our last board meeting, I was delegated authority to finalize the terms of a safe parking lease with the city of Sacramento and Caltrans for a portion of SAC-RT's Roseville Road Station Park and Ride lot. And knowing the urgency and the importance of this project, we have held numerous meetings and on-site visits, and especially now with Caltrans, with the Caltrans, work with them, because the property, the land we're going to build this safe parking location actually belongs to Caltrans. And right after last board meeting, I had immediate secretary, Brenda and I, met with Caltrans District 3 leadership to push on this. And we have many meetings, and we try to move this as fast as possible. And we're hopeful we can finalize this agreement by the end of this month, if possible, and then immediately seek federal approval to move forward with the project. We have been talking with FTA in the last 3-4 months, and they are waiting for our final leasing agreement. And the Caltrans will work with FHWA to move this forward too. And I will be sure to keep the board and the public updated on this important program. Our marketing team right now, has been very busy recently supporting some community events. I just want to list a couple events. We provide the free rides on Small Business Saturday, and also free rides for the 38th annual Santa Parade, one of the largest annual family events in our region. Yesterday or the 2 days ago on Saturday. We have brought back the holiday bus. We offer free rides and collecting donations for Civic Thread, formerly known as Walk Sacramento. So all the donations will go to Walk Sacramento. And we will be offering free rides to the New Year's Eve Sky Spectacular event on Friday, December 31st. Our bus operations team also did a tremendous work in assisting the 38th annual California International Marathon, which attracted over 10,000 runners and generated nearly $10 million in economic activities for the region. And we received some great feedback, like the one in the slide. I will not read the feedback, and the slide showed that some great feedback. Then to conclude my remarks, I would like to provide a brief update on 2 recent amazing conferences. SAC-RT and our region, first we hosted the California Transit Association's 56th annual Fall Conference and Expo at the beginning of November. After nearly 2 years of cancellations, it was truly great to get in person in Sacramento to mobilize Sacramento and stimulate Sacramento's economy. Over 400 people attend this conference, and our staff. I really want to thank our staff, for helping and organizing the event, because majority of the work preparation really, did by ourselves, but by us, by working with CTA staff. We received great feedback as the host city too. Additionally, the second event is the APTA's annual conference, and some faculty members, and plus our chair Mina and the director Valenzuela, we traveled to Orlando, Florida, to attend the APTA's annual conference and expo with over 10,000 attendees, which is amazing. At this time, we have this many people attending event in one location. The conference is a public transit premier showcase of the latest technologies, products, and new services. It is a great way to connect with the industry. Of course, we were honored to receive the Outstanding Public Transit System of the Year while we were in Orlando. And congratulations to all SACAT staff and all our board directors and the whole community on this highest honor and recognition in the industry. And we look forward to celebrating in person with the various internal and external partners this month and in the future. To conclude, before we play a short video montage from the APTA conference, I just want to wish everybody a wonderful, wonderful holiday season and a Merry, Merry Christmas. Adam, Tabitha, please show play the video. Turn back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for the great report, Henry. I didn't see my photobomb picture in there. That's an inside joke, folks. And with that, on to the next item, please.
Oh, if I
Director Valenzuela has her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's
Katie.
okay. No, yeah, thank you for sharing that, Henry. That's a really cool montage you all made. I wanted to make a quick comment on labor shortages for like future discussion. Something I've been hearing from a lot of workers around daycare availability is like a lot of folks choosing to stay home because they can't get spots. It's really hard to get spots. So I'm wondering maybe for a future item or something for us to discuss with the unions about whether or not RT could help in some way. I know SMUD just broke ground on a cool daycare facility, and I just am curious if there's something we could be doing to address some of those needs. But everything you're doing is fantastic. I'm just trying to triangulate some additional needs I'm hearing from the workers.
Thank you, will do.
Good point. Thank you. Now we can go to the next item. Unless there's any other questions or comments from board members for Henry. Hearing none.
And I don't see any hands.
Very good.
All right, the next item is reports, ideas, and questions from directors, if any.
Any ideas out there?
It looks like we have Director Valenzuela. Did I just not lower your hand?
No, I put my hand back up again.
Okay.
I should have just like done it when I was talking before. I wanted to thank Henry and his staff, because I know whenever we open warming centers and respite, it's always really hard sometimes to get people to those centers. And I know in many cases you've responded and sent out buses to help get and keep folks in encampments to safety. And I wonder if at a future board item or just in the future, we could talk about a set route for weather emergencies, because it's not just for unhoused folks, but also for folks who just might need to access warming or cooling centers or extreme weather centers, so that there's a little bit more predictability for your team, but also for folks in the camps, we get a little bit of more rhythm on, hey, when these centers get activated, here's where you can go and we'll come by and pick you up and take you back. Because that's also a challenge, obviously, once folks get to the respite centers, going back to where they were, to their belongings. So I just want to flag that as a potential idea as we're entering another very cold, rainy night. And we have a center in City Hall, and it's something that's come up a lot, is how do we get people there? And I just wonder if we could have that discussion, Henry, at some point.
Yes.
And
Good idea.
Director Kennedy's hand is up.
Thank you. So when we made the change that we did with paratransit, I believe that the board asked that staff come back a year into it and present or give a report on the status, how it's going from a ridership standpoint, from a revenue versus cost standpoint, all of that. So I just like to make that reminder that it's been a year, and ask for that report to come forward.
Thank you.
Point.
Thank you.
I don't see any other hands up.
With that, next item, please.
Next, we have a closed session, item 13, conference with real estate negotiator pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. There are 4 properties under negotiation for price and terms. Property 1, 1102 Q Street. Property 2, 1201 K Street. Property 3, 980 9th Street. Property 4, 2710 R Street. And it looks like we do have a public comment, if you, not an email one, but Jeff Tartagia has his hand raised. Unless you want to.
Let's take the public comment before we go into closed session.
Okay.
My note is simply whether it's buying or selling, I think that information should be able to be provided in the public sector. Does that make sense?
It does, Jeffrey, but when it comes to price and terms and negotiations, it's one of those things that's covered in confidentiality. And so we can go into closed session and discuss this. When there is a reportable action, that is when we'll reveal the price and terms that we agreed on if we reach that in negotiations. So the law allows us to convene in closed session for this. And we couldn't negotiate any other way. So with that, we're going to convene in closed session. I have been informed that there will be no reportable action out of this closed session. So with that, we're going to adjourn to closed session.
6:49. Thank you.